To find the highest value or the lowest within a given range, you can use the max and min functions, and I've got the labels here. Max is for maximum, min is for minimum. And for example, if I'm looking at the month of January and I want to find out which employee had the highest in sales, well, it's a small database, you can eyeball it, and there it is, 220, and the lowest is that employee right there, 110. But you can imagine if you have dozens or hundreds or thousands of cells to go through, I recommend that you use the max and min functions. In any case, next to the label, let's go ahead and insert our functions. And there's a couple of ways you can insert functions, and we learned that in the previous training video, but my favorite way is to hit the equals key on the keyboard and then type in the first couple letters of the function and then arrow down to the function. And again, you get the synopsis of what that function is all about. It returns the largest value in a set of values, but it will ignore logical values and text. So if you select a range that includes logical values and text, don't worry about it, it'll just ignore it. And then go ahead and hit the tab key once you have it selected so it can pop open the function with the syntax where it says, okay, what's your first range? If you have additional ranges, just hit the comma on the keyboard after you select your first range and do number 2, number 3. In fact, you can see first range, comma, and then it boldens the next one, number 2 in the syntax, where you can go ahead and select that. It's still in bold, so for us to get to number 3, we have to hit the comma, then that's in bold, and you can go and go and go, and well, we're not going to go. Let's just hit the backspace key so we just get this range. And if you want to adjust a range, then you can go ahead and hover over one of the 4 handles there in the corners of the selected range until you can see arrows pointing in opposite directions, then click and drag, and let's include the cell that contains January so we can see that it's going to ignore it and still give us the highest value and not give us an error because we included the cell that contains text. And it's 220. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Voila, there we go. Sweet. The other way you can do it, let's do it for the minimum or the lowest number, which is going to be 110. So you can either go ahead and type in the equals key, or you can come up here on the formula bar and click on insert function, or you can go ahead and click on the formulas tab to insert function, or find in one of the categories which category contains the minimum function. It's up to you which way you want to do it. And you may say to yourself, well, wait a second, the equals is just the simplest and fastest way to go. Yeah, for functions that you're familiar with, but if you want to learn something new and you're not sure about it, then clicking on the insert function button to open up the insert function window and then type in the function that you are not too sure about, and let's say it's min, then go ahead and click go, and it's selected down below, and whatever you select down below will give you a synopsis. You can say for min returns the smallest number in a set of values, but it ignores logical values and text. So we can go ahead and click okie dokie, opens up the function arguments, and it gives us more details. Currently it says that it wants to look at cell C15. Again, Excel is logical. When it sees numbers adjacent to the cell that you want to insert the function in, it wants to pull that in to, well, try to save you time because it thinks that you wouldn't put a function away from a list of values or a range of values, and so it tries to help you out, but that's fine. It's not being helpful here, at least for what I've got. So what I can do is I can go ahead and type in the range. 7, it can be lowercase, colon, which means through, C10, and then you can see the values are selected right there. The end result is 110, so you can kind of check yourself before you accept it to say, okay, you know, that works. Or you can click on the collapsible dialog box button and then click and drag the range. But make sure that if you do that, you can see that since I had it typed in, it wants to add that range as well. Let's just go ahead and delete that and then click and drag so we just have one selected range and not adding it to another. Then hit enter to pop it back open, hit enter again, and sweet. And then as we discussed in earlier training videos, when you want to go ahead and take that formula and also insert it in other cells, the shortcut, well, a couple of shortcuts is you can copy and paste or use the autofill handle, which is in the lower right hand corner. Hover over it till you see the black cross and then click and drag it. Of course, this only works with the cells that are adjacent to it. You can't click and drag it all the way up here because you're passing through another range. And then come over here. Like I said, you can copy, Control-C, and then Control-V as in Victor to paste it, or click and drag to do the autofill. And speaking of the autofill, if you're going to do an autofill in a column, a shortcut for doing it, let me go ahead and delete this range. And you can see the first one here is the average for this employee, and then we want to go ahead and autofill in the rest. Well, we clicked and dragged it down before, but when you're in a column, if you double click really fast on the black candle, it automatically, according to Excel's logic, it sees the range here. They're consecutive cells, so it automatically fills it in for you. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as soon as I upload a new video, you'll be notified instantly, and you can do that by coming over here and clicking on my face. You can also click here to support me, so for $2 a month, you can have access to over 2,700 training videos, all ad-free, and for a few bucks more, you can have access to my exercises, instructor notes, quizzes, certificate of completion, and a whole lot more.